All right. Hello and welcome back to some Modern Warfare 3. So, I'm still doing. So exciting things. So, I linked up with a couple of my buddies recently, and um, I'm still pretty much solo building the online voting server for now. But my one buddy has made some infrastructure. I've started to dabble. Like I have a Kubernetes cluster that's started. It's not configured, and I haven't even logged into any of the actual containers. But they're there. They're available. It was successful. It was a successful launch of a Kubernetes cluster, and so it's very exciting to me. Now I'm still working about like three or four main side projects. Like the one cell phone distro. Excuse me. I keep burping too. I drank a bunch of coffee, but if you can tell, aye, boyo, it's a very bright future for the lads and the lassies. If you don't know, I'm Irish. And I think I'm catching a cold. So, but anyways, I just wanted to jump on here and do some camo grinding, and while I muse too, because I've been thinking a lot. Like when I'm getting a lot of progress on these things, I often tend to find that I get a lot of progress on my personal problems as well, and that's part of why I do the side projects, is to help work on myself. Now, I've been in a decent amount of therapy, and I've had a decent amount of education on what one should do to try to find balance in their work-life balance, their mental health state, their gaming and work balance. Like that's the biggest one. And my simple trick for that is you do an hour work, you get an hour game time, and you just repeat. You make it 50-50. And I want to go through the clown. The clown. I hate clowns, but I love them at the same time. I like jesters, but I hate clowns. It's like this disrespect and respect thing. But then I guess, now I don't feel so bad about clowns. Like, because bet they're a bunch of neurodivergent weirdos back throughout the years and having a good time just being silly, goofy, and weird. And, like, they would, like, keep control of their own communities. Little sub-communities and control structures exist. It's a human nature to have leaders in different pockets. You know, well, who's the adult? Like, I need an adult. Like, that's a very basic concept. It's like, I need an adult. And like, I've actually said that at work a couple of times, being completely joking. Like, I didn't mean that in any like serious way, but it could actually be seen now as like, wait, was he calling for help? But a full Jenny. I've already too much, and I think I can scrub my videos, just because I'm trying to like get anybody in trouble. That's the thing. That's what people don't understand is like when you swear, like I have, like I've sworn the military oath for the Marines, even though I washed out. I there down in Denver, down in D-town, in the flags, saying I will not hurt, like, and not just like I will not hurt somebody. I will protect people from harm in the country. If you're an American citizen, although that's the thing, like the opposite of ICE. Like, I'll just assume citizen or worth protecting. Like, where a citizen and try to inspect you for your skin color. If I see a person, and this really well for liberties, because, and granted, don't get me wrong, my roommate stood up for himself. He was a big dude. He was an adult, like, well, legal adult, young adults, I both were, but, people would talk smack. What up, Haji? You wanna go home? You gonna go? And I just thought they were just kind of like just being drunk and being like slightly rude. And then once I realized they were being like extremely racist, I'd be like, oh hell no! Like, what's up? We're gonna talk now. We're gonna have a conversation. Bud. Start slipping into some vernacular that's a little more threatening and like, which is funny. Camp in basic used to do that. Like, he used to be like, the high voice for one thing, and then you get down there and your eyeballs like instant transition. Like, at any given time, this fool had 3 or 4 raining down on you, and it would be like 2 or 3 people talking at you, where you screw up. So, and they were vicious too. The military, and like, mind you, I was only there for like not even a month. Like, and like that time, CSP, the criminal station. So yeah, I was in the Marines, like. But not in a dishonorable way. They just had to move for processing out. Like they didn't, so I was hanging out with people. Well, and most of them were fine too. Like they didn't really do anything. They just didn't pass one of the tests. Like that's it. Out. Or if you were gay, like there was a don't ask, don't tell policy, and if it was found out that you were like legit homosexual, not, I mean, there's bi. A lot of us are bi, but like homosexual, like the same person, like being able to marry the same person, like that ain't me, dog. I mean, we have my governor's gay like that, has a husband. I'm stoked for him. That's beautiful. Like, that is a beautiful thing that he found somebody that completes him like that, or at least a good partner like that. Now, as far as me, I'm part asexual. That is like so tired of it, like the games and politics and and the money. I spent so much money on women. My God, I used to take them to Bassetti's. This used to be a really fancy but affordable restaurant. They took their customers. Like I was a regular, and oh man, I took so many girls there for like, and that sounds like old man or promiscuous and all that, which I was. I mean, but I told them like very upfront and honest, and it didn't always go well. In fact, often it didn't. Often it would blow up in my face. But I made that distinction as like I would either stop seeing other women or let them still seeing other women. And then maybe I want to hang out together. Like my is like I would use the cubby hole. It wasn't disingenuous. It was serious. Like if I'm spending time with somebody, and that's why I think I am pretty much autistic, because like I've been seeing so many things online like about how people are people pleasers, and like if they choose to spend time with you, or if they give you time out of their life, they're busy, like that's a sign of affection. Just like the animals. Like if a cat comes up to you and lays in your lap, prove you are now safe in that cat's eyes, and that's huge. Like that cat will now forever see you until you do something else. Like the cat will right back if you do something stupid. Like you're only one bad decision away from being scratched. Like with cat, like I want a cat. Anyways, and they had this little room at Bassetti's. It was very romantic, and like you have like this nice fireside behind you, and like there's a window behind the other person, and you can just see the people walking on the street, like, and they can see you or not. Like you could close blinds and make it even more secluded and more private. And, like, although it did get a little cold, that was like the only downside. But hence the fireplace in there. I think that was actually like I think it was a fake fireplace, but like it was a real heater. So like it's both heat and like a warm. And then Italian food, and they did these date plates. Like you could get the entree, the dessert, and oh my gosh, the creme brulee. They'd bring the freaking torch to your table and torch it right in front of you. Like, yeah, that was a good placement. I was just criticizing someone, I think yesterday, about their placement of those, because it wasn't getting me. Like twice, I think I ran right by it, and I was like, I mean, I'm glad I didn't die, but that's kind of, that's kind of messed up. If it were me, I'd want to figure out why it wasn't going off. So, anyways, and I'm just thinking, can't help but fixate on certain things. Back to one of the ladies took to the cubby. The one that ended up hooking up with the R&B that gave us free tickets to his show on my birthday. Like, get that, on my birthday, I got to take him. I've talked about this before. I was like, oh cool, he's doing me a song. He's getting her all for date, and then she'll be all excited and in the mood, and but I didn't even think about that. Even as internal monologue, she's gonna be him in a sexual way. Oh crud, no, that's a bad thing, because like, I'll be the first one to say that I'm pretty typical white boy. Like I'm not exactly like, well, if anybody's going to be doing that, guy's going to be showing her like a different time and experience than me. In fact, I had a gal that she couldn't do the whole, well, I'm trying to keep this PG-ish, but it is a war game. So if your parents trust you about this, I'm sure they trust you about, well, no, actually, I don't think I'd be cool with my kids saying that. But anyways, sorry. It's just bad news. We'll leave it at that. It's bad. It's news if like cheats with another, or like a lady cheats with another white boy, but it's even worse news if it's a big old black dude, and it's like, how do you can't compete, like, but you can actually, and that's the thing. The motion of the ocean is a very real thing, and even that, like, emotions, the motion of the really genuine, sincere with your the person making coitus, like, huh. You betcha. Actually, I've had a couple women leave black dudes for me, like, and not trying to be racist about it, just like that's kind of like an interesting observation because my fears and conceptions about being outdone, and that's fair, that's fine, that's biology, that's nature, like whatever. Like, I mean, if someone is like more equipped than me, fine. Like, you know, I gotta play and my strengths of wooing women. Yeah, used to be. I don't. And it's so uncomfortable now, like, because I feel like manipulation mind games, like the at Bassetti's. I mean, like, you set it up, oh, it's a very nice dinner, like, you know, she's got Italian food, she's got this light, you know, there's this picture of warmth and serenity, and like, you know, oh, he's going to woo you more and more, and you're gonna go have some leftovers too. Probably want to eat those leftovers over at the house. That actually once sucked because I had a couple people that looked housing insecure ask leftovers, and I was just thinking about the dollar amount to spend on it because I wasn't rich. I've really been rich, like, and like, you know, I had worked and saved up like it still probably a good like 50, 60 bucks back when that was like more like 70 or 80 is now. And like, oh, they had a mine. He was luring us into a mine. I should have known. So, I mean, good job, sir. That was a good tactic. But, anyways, no. So what happened with that R&B singer is I was actually the deciding vote to get him evicted because he was behind on his payments. Like, I worked for the apartment complex that we all lived in. It was one of the only times I've ever allowed a petty emotion or decision. One of the few times. There's been a couple, but like, whoops. Ooh, I had 18 versus 7 and all that. I mean, that's fair. I've been the bottom of the barrel. I've been the top of the barrel. Like, in fact, many times I'm down there with like 1 or 2 kill, especially if I join late. But like, sometimes I'm just not on my game, or they're just that good. Like, that's fair. But no, like, this guy should have exhibited kindness, and I think he tried to, and that's the interesting thing. And if ethical non-monogamy was around back then, I would have been totally fine with it. I would have been like, yeah, babe, go for it. Like, I don't want to, and maybe I even would be wanting to see it, but like at the same time, I'd be like, just knowing that you got to live your fantasy and still come home to me, like, I'm okay with that. It's when we think that people are trying to steal our companion. That's when, at least for me, that's when I used to get mad. Like, that's when I was out for blood. And actually, and I hate to say it, I got a little racist with it. Like, I am normally like one of the farthest people from racist things, but I just couldn't help. Like, my problem with this particular guy was he sang R&B, he was a big dude, and he was with a big black crew. Like, and I was ready to take them all on. Like, you know, like, you want war, we'll go at it. So, and one of his roommates owed me money too. He was in my pocket. So figure that. You know, granted, I was only a resident assistant. I resident manager, which I did have a key to every apartment. And again, I would never betray that trust because I've sworn oaths. Like, I have told people that hold me accountable legally and communally that I would never harm an American. And like I said before, if you're a person here in this country, I'm just going to assume you're an American or you're a visitor and you're a guest in my home. So we need to be careful with that anyway. Like, we need to treat you like royalty while you're visiting, and hopefully you'll return the kindness, pick up your trash, leave the place better than you found. I grew up in a tourist town. Like, it was a prison town, but it was also a tourist town, and we had to be on our best behavior at all times. Like, and it wasn't like Stockholm Syndrome where, like, you know, they were behind the curtains, like, holding or, like, threatening us in some other way. No, it was just we were raised with respect and dignity and discipline of that of mates. Like, you know, our parents helping to correct behavior of people making the mistakes of life all the time. They live that, and I live that. When I find somebody, like, just being completely disrespectful habitually, a habitual line stepper, I think, as Dave Chappelle called it, I love that skit. Like, it was the Rick James one. Yeah, like Charlie Murphy and Rick James, and Charlie Murphy was talking real Charlie Murphy too, like Eddie Murphy's brother. Not that I really rip about celebrities, like, but I love, if they're funny in action. So Charlie Murphy is right up there as famous as Eddie Murphy in my book. Like, that's how that goes. But anyways, yeah, he is hilarious too. Like Dave Chappelle. Oh man. And it felt bad. It was just like rap music. Like, I had to bleep the N word every time. Like, I mean, for obvious reasons. There's no N pass. That's fake. Even if somebody likes you and feels comfortable around you, like, well, actually, that's not completely true. Like, I mean, there's an N pass probably in like private circles, but then you get into public, and then no matter how safe someone's feeling with you, that doesn't automatically give the green light to, and I'm not talking like anything serious. When I say green light, red light, those are just symbols. But anyways, you have to clarify now after Tekashi 6ix9ine was on some music, and then he got like, because he had gang. See, I'm not gang affiliate or even have gang connections. Like, so that's the first distinction. But I also didn't think that people would confuse me for a gangster. That's why I got a Wu-Tang tattoo on my leg. Everybody could see, oh, he's not a Peckerwood. He's not from the woodpile. He's not like, a good old. I mean, I am a good old boy in the sense that, like, I protect people and I worry about things. Yeah. Because, I mean, once upon a time, my entire job, my life, I was going to risk my life to go, kill people in another country. Not really, but I knew that would come with the job. I'd be there protecting American assets. My buddy used to drive for one of the generals that used to go over there, and, like, he got blown up twice. I got a broken arm. I think he's, like, deaf in one ear. I haven't talked to him for years, but, like, when I did meet up with him, he just told me all about it. He was like, dang, man, like, and I just felt that much worse about my, not abandonment of duty. They told me to go away, and so I was like, all right, and they said, you can come back, and I said, all right, I appreciate that, but I've seen this other, I got back to my queen. She was so beautiful, like, Jesus. Oh, that's the one that the big black dude was slamming, like, and for years, she used to, like, for, like, all my shenanigans. And, like, nothing bad, mind you. Like, I mean, especially now, like, it's everything I did pretty much legal now in Colorado. Like, I mean, moving cannabis, growing houses, like, all those things. Like, and I wasn't even, like, a main actor in those, but I was just such a good problem solver that I would just help out people. I would just float around, and somebody would tell me their problem. I'd be like, oh, yeah, you could just do this, this, and this. Like an red green with those Canadians up there, like using duct tape and fixing things, and it might not always be the good fix, or no, what the motto was like, she may not find you handsome, but at least she'll find you handy. And and I lived by that. My dad raised me like that, like, play to your strengths, play to your talents. Like, if you're a small hung like an elf white boy, like, okay, doesn't matter. I mean, show her affection, show her how you really feel, and tell her about it, and be sincere too. That's the other thing, is like, that's why most people, like, if they're trying to, be a promiscuous fellow and it fails and it blows up in their face, it's often because they're not genuine. Like, they're just trying to go for numbers, quality, and I'm actually trying to make it to where I find somebody, if I want to feel safe with them, I want them to feel safe with me, and then I want it to be a repeating thing. Like, I could probably go back and call through some ladies in my black book and at least find some that, you know what, they're a crazy arsehole, but, yeah, let's go talk. Like, like, no matter what. One chick, like, oh, that was really bad, and that's part of why I don't drink anymore. I pulled a Rick Sanchez sink when we had been fighting, and this was actually, there's actually some DV involved, and not from me. No, but I still have a lot of feelings for her. She was an amazing woman, and is too. Like, very strong, very smart, very hippy dippy. Like, also one of my favorite partners. I'm like, and I actually have talked to her since the incident, since taking a dump in it. Oh, so if you don't know what a Rick Sanchez is, he's Mr. Bulldops, and you need to see the episode where he makes music. And only it wasn't the floor or sink. And I honestly thought it was, I didn't realize what I was doing. I was that drunk, and that's very rare. Like, even when I drank a lot, like, I would never control completely. Like, I knew what I was doing, like those blackout things like people talk about. I've experienced it, but even in my blackout, my main goal was to get home, get some water, if not drive. I knew right away, I was like, there is no way I need to be like, we need to find another way. We're walking, we'll get a, we never had, that's crazy expensive. And like, and if you're in Fort Collins and a college student, you can just use A-Rye. So, and you can sign as Ronald, like it doesn't matter. I mean, I think they check it now, but like, a clown of all things, and I hate clowns, but, oh, you know, if the shoe fits for that time. So anyway, and, well, but back to the big black R&B singer, like, I said some really racist things. I said some threat things. I told her everything I could think of. I just, like, let her have it. And she, poor lady had some I imagine from all that, but there was more than one person involved in that incident. It was me, the dude, and her. And no, and the thing is she told me she found a pair of underwear and used it to pad the headboard because the headboard was hitting the wall. I was like, oh, this dude's about to have one less leg. Like, he's going to be gimping around for this one. Like, you know, not that I've ever cut anybody's leg off, but I'm not against it if the situation fits. Like, if my daughter ever gets attacked, nah, that's just fucking legs. Because, I mean, if you cut, that's terminal. And the other thing people don't understand, it teaches you, even in the very beginning, because they want you to know not be dangerous with what they're about to teach you otherwise. Same with gun safety too. You have to treat gun safety with with the utmost sincerity and seriousness, but also the least amount necessary every time. Does not matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if someone's running at you with a knife. Every cop knows use the least amount of force necessary. Otherwise, you're going to be up on news television later. So the solution with the problem was a bunch of hooting and hollering and yelling, like, you know, freaking out, like, you know, theatrics and stuff. And then it was going to get physical. Like, if I had an opportunity with that guy, I was going to try to swing at him. But I realized that, and I recognized that behaviors and thoughts, so I purposely kept distance from him. I bought a digital scale from him through my ex to give her money. Like, and he was struggling to pay rent. He was trying to do those shows, and maybe he shouldn't have been, you know, home wrecked. And again, actually, wait, no, in his defense, like, and I'm going to tell him this when I see him, because he's still around. I know he's around, but like, anyways, he did try to sit me down. We sat at his kitchen table and we talked, and I could tell he wanted to tell me something, but he just couldn't bring himself to do it. He was going to tell me he was banging my girlfriend, but in his mind, it was just lust and not love, and he was trying to respect me and tell me that. Oh. And so I have respect for him. I do have respect for him now. I'm not going to hurt him. I forgave a long time ago. I'm just never going to forget. I'm like an elephant in that sense. Very democratic and liberal, but no. Like, I'm an elephant in the way that, like, I will remember things to my dying day. But I will forgive pretty much the next day. There you go. There's like a little Irish limerick. I know, I forgive totally. Like, I mean, like I said earlier, like, it's a fantasy. I get it. I mean, I've 3 women now. Like, wait, more? I mean, at least 3. They're so kind. Like, oh my God. They were... I felt so bad because, like, I didn't know, like, you know, like, it's like a cop over a black kid. Like, I mean, you know, you have to be on your extra best behavior because there's a really high chance to have a chip on you from a previous interaction, you know, either or the... And so you have to be extra careful to say anything wrong. People are already there, and that's systemic racism. It's not intentional. You could be the best cop out there, and I've heard this from cops, like, you know, you could be having the best day ever. You could have just gotten a nice compliment from some old lady that you just helped with something, like, you know, and then you pull over a black kid, and that kid is sweating. He doesn't have any drugs in the car or any weapons, or he doesn't have any warrants or any reasons. He's just driving while black, and he knows it. And so as a cop, you got to be like, oof, you know, do you know why I'm pulling you over? And then you got to be like, you know, how do you say, don't worry, it's not because you're black, it's because you suck at driving. Like, you know, and you already have to be... Because you just got to assume best intentions. You have to be giving people grace. Just assume that there's something wrong, like they're having a heart attack at the wheel, or like their car is malfunctioning, or, you know, what seems to be the problem, officer, is like, and then that's sincere on the other way, like they're trying to give the officer the best grace and think, you know, oh, this guy's not just pulling me over because I'm black, he's pulling me over because I know my taillight's out, or I know that I was speeding 10 miles over back there, and maybe he's upset about that. So the best thing to say in that situation, always just still like, I mean, if you know what it is, and if you understand the risks and the potential, I mean, if you actually understand the risks and the potential, you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place because you already got told. Like, that's the problem. I mean, and if you're out with your friends, that's different too because the mob mentality is very real. Mm. But anyways, no. I wonder if I should try to get word to that guy that I forgive him. Because I was very, very vocal. And like I said, his roommate owed me money too. And I helped get him evicted. Like, granted, by that, my opinion. Like, whether they were going to get evicted or not, I don't know for sure. In fact, I shouldn't even say that. But like, I was an employee talking with the bosses. And I was just like, no, they've had enough grace. Like, let's get them gone. And that was my sincere thing because I didn't want to live next to them. Like, I didn't want to have them as my neighbors, like banging my women, like or my partner, and her too. Like, I mean, she was there and like she moved out, she left, and then I left, and we all left. I mean, it was just a big to do, and which is messed up because I just saw my boss from there. We used to talk about magnet houses, like houses with magnets, and now Japan is rolling out some houses supposedly that do that. So in case of an earthquake, there's like a bunch of magnets holding it, like, and I think they already do it to a point. Like some of their like larger buildings, I believe, are a little bit decoupled from the foundation. I was watching a documentary once, and like it's either that or it's a more malleable material that bends and like is a little more forgiving instead of brittle where it would snap and then cause like the structure to fail. And by that I mean like the building to collapse. But uh, no, but back to my old lady. Like, I mean, if I had the chance over, and I think she's married now anyway. Like, you know, that's a definite no for me, dog. Like, if she's found somebody, even if she was just dating somebody, that's not cool. Like, I could try to take her back, but I'll take them both back. I'm thinking about being a polygamist. So I could have a few wives, a few husbands. I mean, or like it could even just, it doesn't even have to be attached to me. Like, he could just be like her husband, and she could be a polygamist and have two husbands. We could daisy chain that or whatever. I don't know. I feel like we should be a hippie commune, and that's what I'm working towards. Like full stop. A hippie commune called communal that has all of these projects, and I've already run it. Well, I've told some people to run it up the chain with some like actual prison gangs, because the biggest focus of it is actually like corrections reform. As someone who grew up in a prison town with a bunch of prison colleagues, and like both sides of the too. Like I know people in prison, and I know people watch prisons. Like. Used to ski with well anyways, no, we won't get into all that, but like my family is pretty well known and well known for integrity, level making, and very careful and deep thought about problem solving. It's like with life or death situations, I treat it as a potential life or death until I know better. Like, I mean, that's my default. It's like, wait, is this serious? Like, I mean, what kind of emergency is this? And most of the time it's just lost revenue. Like when I was at that aerospace company, an emergency was defined as like anything where production has stopped. And so if they're not producing units to be sold, like that's an emergency. That's going to cost money, time. It's going to raise frustrations. And there's like a whole slew of reasons why. And I had to be able to get on the phone with them. I had to pick up the phone and call them and check. Be like, yo, is this really an emergency or is this? And that, you had to give a lot of grace to people for that too. Oh, jeez. I walked right over the mine that she was trying to blow up. But anyways, but yeah, with that kind of decision making, you have to make a decision. And oftentimes I started as the graveyard guy. So like I was calling people on third shift that they were graveyard people. So, which was kind of nice. I mean, I got to talk with a lot of people that were more like me, more wild, I mean, the people that didn't do as well during daytime stuff. So, and night shift's not great either. Like, it does warp you. Like, you need to see the sun, you need to get that vitamin D, you need to get good sleep. That's the other thing, is I wasn't sleeping on those graveyard jobs. I mean, a little more so with the aerospace company and doing IT. It was first line IT, so I would sift through, like, hundreds of tickets every day. Well, potentially, I'd say it's more like 30 to 50 to 100 to 200. Like there were some times where they were just busy days, and it's just like, holy cow, and you're just like distributing them out as fast as you can. And yeah, and I was actually offered the management position of that team as a contractor, because the manager that they did hire washed out. He was going through some substance things, I think, which is fine. We all do. Like, make mistakes, you get curious, and you end up like, oh no, now I'm starting to make decisions where I'm spending too much money on these things and getting these things. Which, again, ending prohibition would get rid of most of that. Like, I mean,
Hostile UAV in the area.
here we go. Oh, that was too far. Oh, he found me. Again, that's why I was trying to get him. I think that was by my house. Not because I thought he'd find me laying there, but like, I mean, maybe. And he did, if that's who that was.
You're halfway to mission complete. Enemy UAV active. I'm taking fire!
Okay. So, anyways.
Hostile UAV in the area.
And that's all military and law enforcement and corrections. They're all trained on pretty much the same stuff, at least for some of it. Then, they'll specialize in whatever, but like, all law enforcement, at least at a time up in the mountains, would learn verbal judo, which is basically like, it's where you talk with somebody about being on their side, and you're being sincere. You're just there to try to solve a problem. Like, you think there might be some suspicion of wrongdoing, or an unsafe vehicle, like, or unsafe vehicle. Now I'm just sounding silly, but like, but basically, like, if your car really is malfunctioning, or if there's a taillight out or a headlight out, that is dangerous. That is a safety hazard. So they're there to try to help you and try to help your fellow travelers on that road. So, in fact, I've had many good talks with law enforcement because I've had quite the reputation. I used to sell cannabis outside of the restaurant that I worked at. Like, I was slinging bud in ketchup containers, like little like sauce cups, like. It was hilarious, and not a lot, but like, I mean, it was still treated as like nuclear materials, like, oh no, you got that stanky, and like, meanwhile there's people like with like meth and heroin and like much more serious stuff. That's what the cops are looking for, and they'd tell me that, be like, it's this heavy stuff, this dangerous stuff that people can overdose on, and they explained it to me why they were looking for it, like, and I'd be like, okay, I will stay away from that stuff. And I got scared straight on like the actual drugs that are dangerous. Meth, heroin, coke is pretty iffy because a lot of times it's cut with that stuff. So, and that goes back to being a white hat too. Like, I mean, you got to follow the laws, but at the same time, if slavery was legal today, you wouldn't be following that law. Now, you can't be breaking it, but you don't have to partake either. And so that's what I do, is like, if I feel like a law isn't lawful, I just don't partake, or try not to partake. Like, I would rather make it a non-issue and just err on the side of caution. That's how I live my life. I try to, be cautious like that. But
Switching map, friendly fire, watch it.
oh,
Trophies down. Changing mags.
it blew up my ammo cache. I mean, that makes sense, but jeez. Oh, there's two of them. So anyways, I don't know. If that happens, cool. If not, cool. I'm talking to a couple of exes right now, actually, and I think it would be cool. And actually, so one has kids with my buddy, and I think that would be awesome. Like, if I dated her, I mean, if she wants help raising the girls, cool. If not, that's fine too. Like, I mean, I trust, and if anything, be a conduit to help my buddy have more time with his kiddo too. That would be awesome. Like, me and him go back. Good old BB boys.
Mission is complete. Good work.
So, actually, you know what? We're gonna make this a holiday special. Because I found that the longer ones, people typically don't watch those. They just don't. Like, it's like they have an aversion to longer form videos. So now that I've said a lot of like, well, nah, let's keep it half hour, because I want people to know like the good stuff, like the advice. But I'm gonna do another one, so ta-ta, I'll be right back.